Hello, citizens of YouTube. This is the Geeky Nerd here, and today we're going to be talking about the RAVYN Bridge mount for your night vision thermal devices, in this particular case on a Wilcox G24. But before I begin, I'd like to say a big thank you out to everyone who's liked, commented, and subscribed on the previous videos. I always appreciate it and always enjoyed talking to you guys. But if you're new here, welcome. If you enjoy this video, enjoy this type of content, please consider liking, commenting, and or subscribing. With the PR out the way, let's get into it. So, everything you see, guys, here on the table is going to have it has its own separate review for each little piece, piece it all together, but breaking out in chunks because it is a lot to talk about here. But right now we're only talking about the RAVYN Bridge mount. Now, with my particular setup, I have a PVS-14 Photonis Echo and a Armasight Sidekick 640. So bridge thermal, trying to achieve fusion. And that's where I came across this RAVYN Bridge. Was looking for a good helmet mount of thermal monocular, and the Armasight and FLIR Breach were kind of coming up. I went with the Armasight for, again, reasons. Check out the other video. But then I looked at the RAVYN Bridge. So from initial conception, because I was one of the very early adopters of the RAVYN Bridge getting into it, is that they came out, and then Armasight, when they kind of followed back up, because the RAVYN Bridge was originally made with the inception of the IRA 25 and then the FLIR Breach, but then when Armasight started coming along, they kind of had a side partnership dealing with the RAVYN Bridge. Or RAVYN Group, I should say, right, to make the RAVYN Bridge, to basically pair their opt and kind of make it the preferred solution of choice, right? And so that's how I came about it. Now, after finding it, though, I'm exceptionally pleased with it. It's performed everything I wanted to, and I love all the little features of it. One thing it does lack is some people like to have their little 45-degree cant to kind of make a pseudo pano night vision setup. Didn't really see any value in that, at least for myself, and I would much rather be able to adjust the interpupillary distance than to where those just kind of can cant out and cant in, but they're kind of stuck as they are. So that's, again, why I went with the RAVYN Bridge. Now, when you get one of these, you can get just the bridge. You can get the bridge with two arms, two PVS-14 arms, just to have that dual setup if you like the bridge with everything, or you can have it with one PVS-14 and then one mount for your either IRA or your Armasight or what have you. You do pick that, and they have these little pods, so you can actually, let's say you have a multiple setup. If you're fortunate enough to have multiple setups, right, you can just quickly detach this, take this off, put another pod on, and you're good to go. So if you're swapping optics, it's quite easy, and you can always add more after the fact. But that's the kind of back end history of why I chose it and why it works for this. Now, these little screws here, they are finger tight, but they do have some Delamere, I believe it's Delamere rings, to where they kind of lock down, and basically after using these consistently in and out, they're not going anywhere. One thing I did notice limitation is that, as you see here, this is the full extended of the thermal. This is the full extended of the PVS-14, so it goes higher. Now that's just because of the little J arm that's here. To where this, I did notice, if you really push up on it, you can just by leverage basically move this off its track and kind of pull it farther away from you. But again, you can quickly readjust it. It isn't too detrimental. But anyway, you shouldn't really be putting your optic all the way up that high anyway, right? Now, one thing as well is, at least at the time of making this, and I hope they maybe have some type of update to be able to change this, it does not have the little sensor that comes with a standard J-arm, to where when you flip it up, the monocular turns off on your PVS-14, so just be cognizant of that. Again, not too much of an issue, but as you see here, it is very pliable to be able to move left to right, up and down, but it is not requiring too much force where you have to yank on it, but not too much to where it's going to be easily bumped. So, right, so with a pinky, I do have to somewhat kind of flex it. You kind of see it does stay where it's positioned. So if I get it where it usually is positioned here, you give it a shake, right? Obviously, very, very, very technical here, right? But here, I'll put it up in this position here. I'll give it a quick drop down. You can see after a few quick drops, yes, it does move, but it's not moving freely, right? You can adjust that tension if you want by tightening these little screws down here. You can see it does ride in a rail system. to be able to adjust the interpupillary distance, which I find very helpful, right? So to be able to get the best chance of fusion. It helps when these are perfectly in line with your eyes, and you can't have that if they are, one size fits all. So be able to bridge the gap and get it perfect, just straight in line with your eyes, definitely helps. Definitely helps with that. I would say as a necessary for it. But it is machined out of aluminum, and yeah, overall a very solid built mount. It does have the bayonets type style mount, right, for your Wilcox G24 here. I could do a review on the Wilcox G24. Everyone knows about a Wilcox G24. I would highly recommend for this, just for the level of adjustment, and just how sturdy it is, how easy it is to use. Do not get a knockoff. I've heard good things about the knockoffs, but when you're spending this much money on these type of items, you really just kind of got to bite the bullet and get the one and just be buy once, cry once, right? Not discounting those other ones, budget hunters, but again, I prefer the legit as opposed to the knockoff. But again, talking about the bridge and specifics here, it does have a nice little RAVYN there. Yeah, and really nothing too much else to talk about. It is a solid mount. The one thing I wish that was added, right, was maybe a over travel stop, right? Because I'm much just looking at the screen, because it is a square screen on my thermal, just getting it, nice and squared and flush up. I would like to, if they had like a little stop screw where it prevented it from going over travel. And if that already is out there, or that's something new, or if the RAVYN group is watching this, please feel free to put a comment down below. I'd love to, see that as an improvement, right? So it's definitely not perfect, but I mean, it's pretty dang good for what it is. Also, just for awareness, this arm is machined out of aluminum as well, for your PVS 14. So again, very rock solid. Never had an issue with it coming undone. Never had any issues with it being used. Love it. Fantastic purchase, and can highly recommend it to anyone looking for a reliable bridge, and especially if they're running a PVS 14 with a Armorsight thermal optic and getting that thermal fusion. So with all that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this quick little review here about the RAVYN Bridge. Let me know if you guys have one. Let me know if you're looking to get one. Hopefully I answer some of your questions, and hopefully you guys can answer some of mine. But with that, please consider liking, commenting, and or subscribing. And I hope everyone is having a wonderful, awesome, fantastic day. And I'll catch you guys next time. See you guys.